Hello and welcome to the Raw Makers podcast.
The one-stop shop for courage, confidence, and mindset building.
Also bringing you all the aspects of mental health awareness, business and entrepreneurship. We are your hosts,
Adam Ellis.
and Jason Borman of the Raw Makers Coaching.
So today, guys, we've got a very special guest. She is a mental health coach. She's also a nurse's assistant working in hospitals and also a life coach. And today we're mainly going to be talking about mental health awareness, what we can do to help, who can support you, and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get the one and only Jodie on.
Hi, the one and only Jodie. That felt nice. Thank you.
So how are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good today. I'm off today, off work at the hospital. So I've been doing some like discovery calls with some clients and just sort of little things like that. So yeah, I'm quite chilled today. And you guys?
Yeah, we're good.
Good.
All good.
Morning and yeah, loving life.
So the first question we're going to ask is just explain to our viewers and listeners a bit about yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Jodie. I work in hospitals as a nurse's assistant. Now doing life coaching. I started that in February. I started a mental health podcast during lockdown, because obviously working where I do during the pandemic was just crazy, and I just thought, something bad happened. We lost quite a few people basically for various reasons, and I just thought, what can I do to help? So that's kind of where the podcast started. And I was helping a lot of people. So I thought, why don't I do it like as a job rather than just a hobby? So that's how it kind of started. Recently been approved as a foster parent, me and my husband. So that's quite exciting. But other than that, yeah, I'm quite normal, quite boring.
Awesome. No, not in any way boring. That's quite interesting work, and like thank you for thinking of people during the pandemic and doing something amazing with it. And yeah, and mental health is an area like it's close to my heart, I know, and
Right.
Yeah, I really feel like it's a taboo subject. People don't want to talk about mental health, but it really needs to be discussed in a more open way.
Yeah, definitely.
So what is it about mental health that drawn you in and made you such an advocate for it?
Well, yeah, for me, like I've been through it myself, like to the point where I think I was like 13 when I got diagnosed with like depression, and then I had anxiety, had a breakdown to the point where like, I was suicidal at one point. And it wasn't until I sort of probably like when I had my daughter, I realized like I can't hurt myself now. I can't fall back on suicide. I can't do any of those things. I need to look after myself, to look after my daughter. So it was then that like I had therapy, and just completely changed my life around. Like I met my husband as well, so he was like really helpful in all of that, and it just made me sort of realize, okay, so you can actually get an amazing life if you've been in that horrible situation. So I think that's why I love doing what I do now, because seeing that light bulb go off in people's minds where it's like, oh my god, like I feel I've unlocked that code, or I feel great, or I really see that light at the end of the tunnel where I can actually have a normal life. But yeah, that's why I do it, because I know what it's like to be that low and to feel like that, and it's just the worst feeling in the world.
Absolutely. And yeah, I've got like parents who suffer with like mental health, and like so it's close to my heart for that reason. I've grown up around it, and
yeah,
I really feel like passionate about it as well. I've had suicidal thoughts myself, and
right,
been in low places during my life, and
yeah, I mean it's the most it's the thing that most people suffer with. Like, it's the number one thing that people die from, young people. So it's crazy that it's not more looked after, you know, than like physical illnesses. I just don't understand it. I really don't.
Yeah, for me, it's more passion towards like men as well, like
Yeah.
in speaking out, and women are very good at chatting to each other sometimes, and you know, more open with each other, and you like your friendship groups and stuff like that. Not all the time, but you know, most of the time, like, whereas men are very kind of closed off in general, and
Yeah.
don't discuss problems or show any weakness, or it's just like that sort of like ingrained into like boys growing up, I think. And yeah,
I think for men it's probably that, like, bottling it up for so many years, isn't it, and not speaking about it is probably what makes them crack in the end. Whereas I suppose, like, as girls, we're really close with our friends in that way, like we're holding hands and we're kissing each other and we're crying to each other on the phone, and you know, men don't really do that.
no, that's it. And so for me, like, I want to try and encourage people to talk and be open as much as possible, and my door is always open to anyone who wants to kind of, you know, have a chat about anything that they're going through. And like, and I want people to be, you know, open and honest with what they're going through, because it is important to discuss it, and you know, it doesn't serve you or anyone around you to kind of bottle it up.
Yeah, and a lot of the time, in my experience, when I've said, you know, oh, I feel this way, or I've gone through this, there's always so many people that are like, oh, me too, and I've been through that, or I know someone who has. Like, you never get people being horrible to you about it. It's always really positive, and then it helps those other people as well think, oh, there's another person who's been through that. So yeah, I agree. It's really important to encourage people to be open, your friends and your family.
Needs to not be that taboo subject, you know. We need to be talking about it like we do the weather, like, you know.
Yeah.
You know, as open as, you know, when we're having just general chit chat, like, yeah, it's not anything to be ashamed of. Everyone, it's a mental health, isn't it? It's like an area, like, you could have good mental health or you can have not so good mental health, and you know, it's about keeping as positive as you possibly can, and yeah.
So when you was having these suicidal thoughts, what was it that got you through that moment?
Those dark moments was, if I'm honest, like, my family. Like, I just didn't want to hurt my family. I was very aware that, like, suicide it doesn't stop the pain, it gives that pain to other people. And like, I'm really, really close to my family, so that was what stopped me in those moments, was just knowing how much they'd be hurt. It sounds really dark, but it's not, because that was my support, and it meant that I had people there that did care about me, you know, because if I did think that they would be so hurt by it, then I knew that they would be there to support me, because they wouldn't want that to happen. And so that's when I started really, like, opening up. It was to my dad at first. I don't know why I spoke to my dad about it, really, because I'm more close with my mum, but yeah, I just kind of opened up to him, and told him that I'd been to the doctors and this had happened, and yeah, just started talking about it really openly. And like, now, like, Jason said, like, I just talk about it. I'm like, I'm just not feeling, like, I'm in a depression phase at the moment. Like, I'm going to be a bit cranky. I don't really want to go out, and I'm just really open about it, talking about it like if I had a cold or something, which got a bit, you know, we had to get used to that, but it works. And I think people then understand me a bit more, because especially when I was younger and you don't know how to sort of handle your emotions, I could, like, lash out, like scream and shout and just get really angry, and they didn't know why that was. Whereas now, obviously, I'm older, like, I'm nearly 30, like, I'm not going to lash out like that, but if I don't want to go places, or I'm a bit snappy or a bit rude, and you know, they can kind of understand, because they know that I'm not in a good place at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, yeah, we've done extensive work on like emotional intelligence and learning about those trigger points and
Yeah.
understanding why it is you behave the way you do, you know. And yeah.
Yeah, I think that's why like therapy was really good for me, because it made me, well, first off, it like validates your feelings. Like I was saying, oh, you know, this is weird, but I feel like this or I feel like that. And having someone there to say, God, no wonder you feel that way because you've been through X, Y, and Z, and kind of validates you. But also,
Yeah,
it just, they can teach you, the therapist, why you think certain ways. And it really makes you understand it. So when it happens again, you feel that way. You can kind of think about it logically rather than emotionally, and
yeah.
get yourself out of that feeling better.
Yeah, you do go for a phase where you think you're the only one feeling this way and kind of
Yeah.
you alienate yourself, and you know, it's nice to have someone validate your emotions. Yeah, I get that. But
Yeah.
yeah, at the same time, we were able to then do that for ourselves now because we've, you know, been through that training, and we can really kind of just sit with our own thoughts and validate them for ourselves. We don't need that other person to do that for us. And
Yeah,
yeah, so
that's always a nice part of therapy, like when you can say, I don't need to come and see you anymore. I feel like I can just sort of do it myself. You've given me the tools and now I can just like go away with it.
yeah.
That's a really nice feeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. Obviously, we've done NLP, which only like tiptoes into kind of therapy and that sort of world. I'm sure there's more techniques and frameworks that they use and they go by. Yeah, so that's awesome. Like, I think more we can get people chatting about mental health, the better. Like, so what's on the cards for you? What are you? So you've got the podcast going. You've got any other plans in that sort of, you know, going forward?
Yeah, well, I stopped the podcast for a little bit, just because, well, for a while now, just because to focus on the coaching. But yeah, I think just like continuing with that and trying to build it. Really, at the moment, I'm trying to really push the fact of, you know, when I'm advertising my new programs or something, you know, I say, would you rather spend 150 quid on a new pair of trainers when you could be spending that on literally getting more confident in yourself and actually enjoying life more? We need to think about where we're spending money. I think it is still a little bit taboo, not so much in America, but in the UK, like going to see a therapist or a counselor or a coach, like it's really sort of, people think it's hippy dippy, you know, and a load of rubbish. But actually, the benefits that you can get from that, that's where you should be spending your money, because there's no one more important than you and your mind and how you feel, because that's how you live your life. You're with yourself. So if you're enjoying life and love yourself and you look in the mirror, that's most important. So that's where you should be spending your money. You need to like invest in yourself, as though that sounds weird. But yeah, so trying to work on that and spread the word, really. Because coaching, especially like life coaching, is still quite a new thing in the UK.
Yeah.
So people don't really like know what it is and stuff. So yeah, just trying to spread the word on that, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, for sure, that's kind of a big part of it as well. It's just getting people to understand, and yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, because coaching is different to therapy. Therapy is very psychological. Coaching can be as well, especially I've done psychology, so I have that quite a lot in my work, in my programs. But therapy is more diving in deep into like why you're feeling certain ways and your childhood and what triggers you have, things like that. Whereas coaching is like, okay, you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed. What can we do right now to help you? So it's more like putting in plans, you know, a weekly diary, learning how to journal properly to get your feelings out. And, you know, if you need to reach out for help, people say reach out for help, but they don't actually say how to do that and how to help a friend if they do that. So it's more like sort of therapy is what happened in the past.
Yeah.
And then the coaching is literally like, right, what can you do tomorrow to feel better and stuff?
And
so that's what
So NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, is like basically smack bang in the middle of that, because we want to know what triggers the past, you know, healing the past in order to move forward. Right?
Yeah.
So that is NLP. Yeah, lots of techniques. So you could have a phobia that you've had since, you know, for as long as you remember, and it's about healing that, you know, healing that phobia so that you can move forward phobia-less, like, you know,
Yeah.
and yeah, and things like that.
Sounds good.
So for people who don't really have the support of like the family or friends and that, what help could they get for their mental health?
I would say probably first, if you didn't have family and friends, first port of call, always your doctor. Always, like, because they will give you all the information that you could ever need. Like, do you need therapy? Do you need medication? Do you need to see a coach? They'll give you numbers for private therapy if you can afford it, or like NHS, like CBT therapy. That's your first port of call, I'd say. And then it's on record as well that you feel in those ways. So if you ever came in again, they'd be able to see, okay, this person's actually suffered before, like we need to actually really help them, because sometimes, especially being a nurse, doctors don't listen to you. Let's be honest. So yeah, go to your doctor. That there's suicide hotlines that are really amazing, like the Samaritans and people like that. Or see a coach. They tend to be, in the UK anyway, a bit cheaper than therapists, or a psychiatrist. I mean, it depends, but I think going to the doctor, they'll be able to tell you who you need to see depending on what the issue is. And there's loads of online like support groups as well. Like there's food addiction Facebook groups. There's so many different niche groups out there where you can find friends that are going through exactly the same thing. So Facebook, quite a good one.
Yeah, so I guess the next biggest hurdle after that is having the confidence to then put themselves out there and actually talk about what it is they're going through at that time. And, you know,
yeah,
it feels so good when you do. Like, that's all I can say. So if you are suffering, if you're listening to this, like, or watching this, and you are going through a tough time, like, you know, there are lots of resources out there. You're not alone. And yeah, please, for your sake, and, you know, for everyone around you as well, like, you know, if you've got to that point where you care no more about yourself, then think of the other people in your life. And
yeah.
and
I think
yeah, moving forward in the best way that you can right now.
Yeah, and talking about it, the last time I hadn't been to therapy in like a year and a half, and then recently, probably like 6 months ago, I felt so overwhelmed, so stressed. I was crying all the time. I didn't know why. And I booked in a therapist, a new one, and I just told her everything. I literally just blurted everything out. She spoke to me for a little bit, and that was it. I was fine. I felt absolutely fine. And that's the power of talking. Like, I thought I was going to have a therapist for 6 months to talk about how I was feeling, and actually an hour and it was done. Like, that was all it needed. And that's how powerful it is, just to be able to have someone validate your feelings and talk it through to a human. You know, it is true. It's really powerful.
I think that's what people really need, is just someone to listen.
Yeah.
It's one of the needs, isn't it, to feel significant, to feel heard, you know, to feel important in some way. Yeah,
and I think that's why it's important to raise awareness as well of what to do when someone comes to you, because if you're going to say things to them, like one of my family members is terrible for it, is from an old generation, and he'll say things like, what have you got to be sad for, or chin up, and, you know, all those things. And it's like, no, I don't need tough love right now. I need like support. So raising awareness for, you know, like Adam said, just listening. If you don't feel you have anything like supportive to say, just don't say anything. Just be there for them and say, like, you know, I'm here for you, whatever you need. Because yeah, you can say things that are quite offensive, and that are going to rub people up the wrong way. Definitely.
The one I hate the most is man up.
Oh, yeah,
That's
I know.
The thing I hate the most.
What does it even mean? Yeah.
That's it. So I've seen men deal with pain. It's not as good as women. So,
Definitely. Wow.
you know, and when they get a cold, they're like, you know, out for like 20 weeks, you know,
Yeah,
dying.
my husband winds me off if he gets ill. Oh, geez.
I don't know, even know what man up means. Like,
No.
mean be weaker than women.
Be weaker.
Oh dear. No, it's it is kind of, yeah, so I don't like that saying. We had a previous guest called Katie, and she was saying she went to a psychologist and they basically told her to, she paid a lot of money for the session as well. They basically said, right, pull your big girl pants up and, you know, and get on with it, sort of thing. And she was like,
Oh, geez.
what the hell? Like,
That's
you know,
crazy.
so it's just like you don't know what you're going to get. That's like half the fear. But you know, please
Yeah.
go to someone who's got a lot of good reviews. You know, knows someone, or you know, you can see their track record and you know, giving people good results.
Yeah, and on that note, let me just say, like a therapist, like you can go to like 3 different ones before you find someone who just gets you. Like they're a human as well. You're not going to gel with everyone. And because the first person I saw was a mental health nurse, and she told me that all I needed was anger management classes, which made me angry. But yeah, but I continued and I found somebody who was lovely. So yeah, don't let that put you off if the first person you go to tells you you're crazy or something. You know, do try a few times and you will find someone that you gel with.
Yeah, they've got to get you. They've got to be able to build rapport instantly with you. And some can do it, some can't. Like you know, and yeah, but it doesn't, you know, don't let it tar the whole industry just because you found one bad coach or bad therapist.
Yeah, 100%.
Because I think that's what makes people worse is when people say, "Oh, man up," stuff like this. That's not what they need right now. They need someone to help them. That's why most of them go off the rails because they ain't getting, no one's listening to them.
Yeah.
Which is why I think there's suicide.
Oh, thank goodness you were here. Like, you know, I couldn't have thought of that myself.
I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Because sometimes, you know, I remember when I was first like dating my husband, I suppose, and I'd be moaning about something, say like at work, and he'd be like, well, just do this and do that. So I don't need logical thinking right now. I just want someone to moan at. I just need like you to listen to me. So yeah, I totally get that. Sometimes you have to say what you want before you start. Look, I just want to rant or I just want to moan at something. Don't give me any actual solutions to my problems at the minute.
Yeah, sometimes you just need that sounding board, and like it takes a good coach to kind of just sit there and listen, because you know that's hard to do as a coach, but you know, because you want to be able to help someone and you want to give advice and you want to project what you think onto them, and but you can't possibly know what it is, you know, that they need. They can only do that for themselves. And
yeah, it's about unlocking that confidence, isn't it, and awareness. And that's why I like to teach psychology and CBT in my sessions, because the confidence that gives when you understand how your brain is working, that you're not crazy, that there's a reason for it, it just makes something click.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I think the biggest tool a coach can have is the ears.
Yeah,
that is the biggest tool.
Well, that's
I agree.
advice, isn't it? You know, you got one mouth and 2 ears, so use them proportionally.
Yeah, good saying.
So yeah, we always need to listen more than, because you could be projecting stuff and you've not listened to the client or person coming to you for that support, and yeah, not even hear what that is they're saying because you're too busy with what you think.
Yeah.
Well, that's, you know, got a place now and again. You know, they might need that bit of advice that to really get them going. But we, like as coaches, I don't think advice is, you know, our place. You know, it's their subjective experience. You know, what they've been through. They've got all the tools in their head anyway. They just don't know that they know.
yeah, how do you get them to be able to unlock that and give them that support and confidence? It's almost like you're, as a coach, like you're their best friend, really. It's like just someone to give them that little like push in that direction, but like let them walk there, you know.
Yeah, that's it. And it's so much more empowering as well for that person. You know,
Yeah, good point.
you know, to have them think of their own answers and get us almost get themselves out, but you know, they've had you there in case they fall hard, or you know, it's kind of like when you're learning to walk, you got your parent hold your hands, and it's kind of like, that's what we do as coaches. You know, we pick you up from where you are, you know, into a standing position. You know, you're a bit wobbly, you're not quite sure where to go with your life, and we're just there to hold your hand and make sure you don't fall.
Yeah, really good point. You know, it's like then that they'll have more confidence and happiness and contentment knowing that they did that for themselves, which is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So what one big tip could you give our listeners and viewers about mental health or opening up to someone?
Gosh, one big tip, if you haven't done it already, go to your doctor. Open up to your doctor. I think that's the first step. But also I'd say for people to listen to their friends as well. Listen to what your friends aren't saying to you. Any changes in behavior, become like detectives a little bit, you know. If someone is like what we get taught with foster children, if you shout upstairs, are you okay? And they say yes, actually go upstairs, open the door, ask them if they're okay a second time, you know. Start little things like that is really important, because then people will start understanding each other a little bit more. People will start feeling more comfortable to open up, because they'll think, oh, this person actually genuinely cares because they've asked me twice. Like, yeah, that's probably what I say. And obviously what everyone says is talk, but yeah, try and be as brave as you can and talk, because you will have so much positive out of it.
Yeah,
if you do. The risk, you know, is worth it for sure.
absolutely. And you will get something from those bad sessions as well. Like, you know, it's not going to all be bad. Like, you know, you might have someone put you off with one thing that they say, but
Yeah,
90% of the stuff is going to be good. Like, so it's, you know, take what you can and bin the rest. That's my sort of biggest piece of advice. You know,
yeah,
see lots of different people. You know, get what you can and what's going to help and serve you to move forward, and then bin the rest basically. And yeah, just move forward with what you feel is for you, and you know, because only you can know that.
yeah, absolutely.
So how can people get in touch with you if they want to kind of there's one thing we like to do on the podcast is promote the people that come on, and help people find you if they want to work with you, they've you know, like the sound of you and you know what you're all about. And so where can people find you if they want to do that?
So I'm on Facebook under the mental health coach, and then Instagram is Jodie Life Coach, Jodie. So I'm mainly on Instagram. A lot of people reach out to me in DMs over there. So yeah, anything, any questions, any advice you want, any sort of you're interested in working with me, yeah, head to me on Instagram. Probably is the best place.
Awesome. So we'll put your handles up on our description of this video and all of that. So
Amazing, thank you.
How to find you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. So let's draw on that courage.
Build up that confidence.
And let's get back your roar. Thank you for listening. Take it easy. And thank you for coming on, Jodie. It's been great having you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.